After somehow getting out of the dangerous misty mountains, the group hurriedly treks away from the mountain. That night, they get tangled up with a group of angry wargs, but thanks to Gandalf's magic and a lot of help from the eagles, who thankfully showed up, the group is rescued and the journey pushes forward. Finally, after a lot more walking, the group reaches the house of Beorn, which is our next major setting. Knowing Beorn is a short-tempered man to people he doesn't know, Gandalf tells the dwarves to come in pairs every 5 minutes. Gandalf himself goes first with Bilbo. He introduces himself to Beorn before he starts to tell him the story of the group's adventure. Just as he begins, a pair of dwarves come in and introduce themselves, creating a pause in the story. After the first pair of dwarves settle in, Gandalf continues the story, only to be paused a few minutes later by their next set of dwarves. This cycle continues until all the dwarves have come and the story is done. As Bilbo realizes later, the reason for bringing the dwarves in pairs was to interrupt the story to make Beorn more interested in the story, keeping him from sending the dwarves off like suspicious beggars. After listening to the story, Beorn is very impressed and gives them dinner. The next morning, when the group gets up, Beorn is nowhere to be seen. The group spends the day roaming the wide wooden halls of Beorn's house, wondering where their host had gone. When they wake up the next day, their host is back at home. It turns out Beorn was checking the credibility of the group's adventure, and now he thinks much more highly of dwarves. From then on, Beorn is kinder and more helpful for the dwarves. He gives them ample provisions and guides them through the next leg of their journey. Finally, after a few days, the group leaves Beorn's home and heads towards the Mirkwood forest. It turns out Beorn was checking the credibility of the group's adventure, and now he thinks much more highly of the dwarves. From then on, Beorn is kinder. Finally, after a few days, the group takes leave of Beorn and